Todd Thompson's a bridge management engineer in the Office of Bridge Design in the South Dakota DOT. He's worked in the bridge design office for over 29 years. He worked in bridge design, bridge load rating, bridge management, and bridge maintenance and rehabilitation. He currently chairs the AASHTOWare Bridge Task Force Group with responsibility for bridge design, bridge rating, and bridge management software products. Please help me welcome Todd. And just one quick thing I will say. I am with the North Dakota DOT, but I actually grew up in South Dakota, and so often I refer to it as the better Dakota, but I really do like North Dakota too. Anyway, please help me welcome Todd.
Thank you, Nancy. It was almost like she had planned all this presentations, having George first, and then Dave, and then myself. And so I think she did a good job of planning this afternoon, and interested to see what Bill has to say next. So, thanks for inviting me here to talk a little bit about the AASHTOWare Bridge Management product. And I'll just put this up just to kind of remind you which states are involved in our partnership here. And then when I get to the products that are used, the majority of the states represented here use at least one, if not all three of the products. AASHTOWare Bridge consists of actually three different products we have. We have bridge rating, bridge design, and bridge management. And the thing to remember that sometimes gets lost is that the software is owned by the states, by AASHTO. It's all owned by us. A lot of times, people sometimes get confused that they think Bentley or Baker own the software. They don't. They just are contractors that are hired by us, the states, to carry out the programs that we want to develop cooperatively among all of our states. So, as you can see, for bridge rating, almost every single state in the Midwest Bridge Preservation Partnership uses it, except for Kentucky, I think. And I think they're looking at evaluating and moving to that product. So bridge design, not as many states use bridge design here in the Midwest. And then for the AASHTOWare Bridge Management, quite a few states, Missouri, Indiana, and Ohio are the three that don't. And I know Ohio's got a proposal out that they're looking at moving into bridge management also. So a little bit of history. PONUS 4 was our legacy product, and that started in the early 1990s with Federal Highway, became an AASHTOWare product in about 1995 probably. And the solution in PONUS 4 was just a long-term least cost solution, which, you know, is a fine model, except for if your bridges are in fairly good shape, that long-term least cost solution is going to allow your bridges to deteriorate until it gets to that optimum solution. Well, if you're one of those states that have good bridges, you didn't like that answer. If you're a state with bad bridges, it might help you, but most states have really pretty good programs for their bridges, so that model didn't really work at all. So in the early 2000s, there was an NCHRP project, 1267, the multi-objective optimization. And after the completion of that project and report 590, there was an effort to redo PONUS and follow this multi-objective optimization. I think Dave even had a slide with MOO, the multi-objective. So that's how we got about moving towards, at that time it was going to be PONUS 5. It became relabeled as BRM 5. And so we started down the path of using elements, having multi-objective solutions available for the states to meet the needs that they have. And we started development, and then MAP 21 came along, and after that it revised our elements. Everything we had done was wrapped around the 2011 AASHTO manual. Federal Highway and AASHTO revised it, came out with a new manual, so we had to make quite a few changes to reflect that. We can thank Congress for perpetuating structurally deficient and the generic MBI deck super and sub ratings probably forever, because they put into law, good, fair, poor, structurally deficient, have to be less than 10%. Our whole goal was moving towards elements and doing a better analysis. And so that kind of complicated our movement with PANAS or Bridge Management 5 also. Along the way, we had to change and decide to go with, we have to do both element deterioration and MBI deterioration because everyone's going to need performance measures that meet the federal highway rules. And so it got messy in a hurry, but I think are close to having a final solution for everybody. This slide here just kind of shows the progression of the approach we took in the software development. We started with the most important part is the inspection portion, collecting those element data. We've all been collecting the new element data for 2 years now. I think it's October 1st of 2014 was when we were required to start collecting the new AASHTO elements. So we got 2 years of data collected for most of us, although I noticed not a lot of hands went up, so I'm not sure if a lot of states are still just converting to AASHTO elements and submitting them to federal highway. You don't have to admit that out loud right now, but I know like Texas, they're still converting their elements. They have not started to collect AASHTO elements yet. They still convert the core elements. So in version 5.2, we added the ability to group bridges into corridors or whatever types of groups that an agency might want. We added risk, so you could start looking at how you want to evaluate risk for your bridges, whether it be for scour or whatever risks that you have in your state that you want to evaluate. And we added the ability of the utility functions of how you can set the different priorities for the different types of goals that you might have. And then in 5.2.2, we added deterioration modeling for the elements. We added the ability so you could start defining your preservation actions and the ability to have projects. And and 5.2.3 is currently in final testing right now with the states. And we've added some additional deterioration modeling, some enhanced project and program planning, and the different administration features that are necessary. One of the things with MAP 21 that required us to have is there are quite a few requirements related to bridges, bridge performance measures. And so as we developed the BRM 5 project, we really had to try to get our hands wrapped around meeting the needs for the states for this MAP 21. And so, one of the things that MAP 21 requires is collecting, processing, basically collecting all the data necessary for your NHS bridges. And, we fully believe that we'll meet that requirement no problem. One of the requirements was the ability to forecast deterioration for all your NHS bridges. And we'll be able to do that when the final product comes out. You'll also be able to determine your life cycle benefit cost analysis of your different alternatives for managing your NHS bridges. Need to be able to look at both your short and long-term budget needs for managing your NHS bridges, and we should be able to do that with the project when we're done. You want to be able to determine your optimal strategies for identifying projects, and you want to be able to recommend schedules within that policy and budget constraints. So we think that we'll be able to do that and meet all those MAP 21 requirements. The 5.2.2 is the most recent product that's in production right now among states. One of the things we did was in the PANAS 4 days, the deterioration modeling was all based on Markov. Based on some research that we had done, we found that the Weibull shaping factor or parameter worked a little better in your first transition and then Markov after that. And so we incorporated the Weibull shaping parameters as part of that. We also added the ability, so if your elements have protection on them, if you protect your elements, they're going to last longer. And so you have the ability to put protection factors on your elements to revise those deterioration curves also. One of the other big things that we did with the 522 release was there's been much anticipation of a new coding guide. We've all been patiently waiting the last 10 years or longer for it. And in anticipation of that, we know it's going to be going to English or U.S. customary units. And so one of the things we decided was, even though we have to still continue to submit our data in metric or SI units for the next probably 3 or 4 years, we decided to cut the cord and we made our database all U.S. customary units. Another thing that's a pretty powerful piece that not a lot of people have utilized yet is we did expose the API so you can tie in your own agency systems into our product, and we'll continue to strengthen that API for tying into other systems. We're currently testing the newest release, 5.2.3 right now. I think we're in release candidate number 1 right now, and I think release candidate 2 should be out here shortly. We've added quite a few different things besides supporting the proposed rulemaking. We'll have the life cycle cost, network level analysis. We did work with Federal Highway to get all the logic that they use in the spreadsheets for the data-driven items in the 23 bridge metrics. So we plan on providing reports that you can run on any given day to see where you fit and where you land with the 23 metrics that are data-driven anyway. Those would be your bridge load rating, your inspections, scour, And so we'll have reports ready to help you there. We've added quite a few different dashboards to help you see the performance measures and visualize your data a lot better. And another thing that we added was we're going to add the ability to add other assets like tunnels. We had about 10 states last year ask if we could add tunnels into the product. And with all the new tunnel rules and requirements, we're going to be adding the ability to track your tunnels in bridge management also. Maybe a little hard to see there. All the slides will be available to everybody after the presentation, but it's all based on utility-driven, all based on the NCHR Report 590 for multi-objective. So you have the ability to look at your condition, life cycle, mobility, and risk, and you can weight those how you see fit in your state. You can set different performance measures on almost any item that's in the database that's condition, type, or even risk-based. Like for good, fair, poor, you can say what you want to do there. If you want, you can have a minimum value, you can have a target value, and then that way the system knows when it starts to do the network analysis how it wants to try to drive that solution. In this example, we had different districts on and off system where the purple triangle is where you currently are for your health index. The green diamond is your target that you set before you did your analysis. And then once the analysis gets done, the blue circle is where your final values were. And so you can see real quickly which areas or districts you met or didn't meet your targets, and you might have to revise maybe your funding breakdown, or at least you have some nice little graphs to show you how your results worked out for a given run. Another thing you can do is the good, fair, poor. I know it says bad up there, but I'm not sure how that got in there. But you can, as you do your program analysis, you can see how things break down for your good bridges and your fair bridges, and you can further break it down by your districts in graphs like this. You can look at more traditional line graphs where you can look at and see where your historical values are for good, fair, poor. You can see what different funding scenarios give you for in the future for your performance. As I mentioned, we'll have different dashboards like this that once you get done doing your analysis, you can look at your data in a lot of different ways and a lot of different graphs. Another thing that we're looking at possibly adding as part of our software is the Michigan DOT's 3D Bridge tool. It's a tablet or phone type application that allows you to collect your element data in the field. There's actually a really nice YouTube video if you just Google Michigan DOT Bridge tool, and it basically takes MBI data, creates a very basic 3D drawing of your bridge. Then your inspectors can go out and do their bridge inspections. You can actually document where the defects are, and it'll roll up all your defects and create your NBE file for you to include it into bridge management. And they just sent out this morning, there's going to be a webinar on this next Tuesday. So watch your emails. I think it's about a 90-minute webinar that they're going to go through some of the features of the tool. And AASHTOW's looking at possibly adding this as like an add-on tool that you can add on to your bridge management product. With that, that's just kind of real quick, high level, kind of where we're at with bridge management. And
Todd, if I understood you correctly, 522 will do away with all the metric storing of the data. Would it just be U.S. customary units?
correct.
But yet, Federal Highways is still going to require all the states to submit their bridge data in metric.
Correct.
Is there going to be a fix, or how do we work around that?
It's just a process that you'll have to go through. If you have any custom reports or anything, you'll have to revise those.
Okay.
But,
we do it on our end, or we do it through the UPAC's end, or?
Oh, you'll still submit your data metric.
We still submit our data metric? Okay.
The product will still create the metric file for you.
Okay, all right.
I mean, there's obviously going to be a risk that there's going to be some minor rounding places that might maybe change a rating or sufficiency rating, but we've tried to minimize that as best as possible.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions?
Hey, Todd, you said Texas is still doing the core element, and
What's that?
Texas,
Yeah, that's what they told us at our user group
So
meeting
now-
in 2 weeks.
do they have a converter?
Yeah,
Some
they use the
translator, whatever?
they use the migrator that we provided all the states. I guess technically, if you read the law, it does say you have to report element data. It doesn't say you have to collect element data. So I guess in fairness, they are following the law, maybe not the intent, but I think there's a lot of states that haven't migrated to the AASHTOWare elements yet. Sorry, Larry. It's
I have one question. I'm going to stand by the mic so that it gets recorded. But my question is, you go to the next update, and it's great, and you show us all these things it can do. But as far as training, webinars, and everything, so that we can figure out how to do all that great stuff, what do you have to?
Yeah, we have quite a bit of enhanced help. At our users group meeting, I think it was it 2 weeks ago, we were down in Texas for the beer mug. There is an extensive walkthrough that can walk you through how you set up your program of what you all need to do. We're also planning on supplementing that with probably some webinars that you can participate live, but we'll also record them so you can always go back and watch them. And so between the help and the walkthrough and the webinars, we're hoping to provide a pretty good upstart.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.